You're a busy mom. I know. I get it. Me too. I feel you. I understand. But we do need to talk about your child's spiritual development. And don't worry, it's okay. I'm here to help. So I'm going to give you the tea and I'm going to hold your hand through the process of using Bible lessons for toddlers. We're going to make this very simple for you and we're going to make it very effective for your toddler. Now, if you don't know me, I'm larissaj. I am a toddler mom myself, and I have over 20 years of experience working with children, including 11 years as a classroom teacher. So I have all the strategies for you, honey. Okay, let's get started. All right, so what I need you to know is that Bible lessons for toddlers are easy to use and they're easy to find. I know usually when we think about this, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm tired. I already have a lot of stuff to do. That's too much. I don't have time for this, right? But breathe. It's going to be all right. I'm going to make this as simple for you as possible. In fact, the key here is to make sure that we are weaving it in to your daily routine so that it is very simple and very natural, and there is very minimal work for you. Plan to spend a week or two on a specific Bible story. You really want to make sure that they have a pretty good understanding before moving on. Going to download and print the coloring page that you need to support the Bible lesson that you're teaching. Now, this can be very, very simple. There's so many resources out there. I, in fact, I've been using a variety of things. I like using a lot of resources. One of the resources that I like to use are actually my own. I actually like to create Bible coloring lessons, and I actually have a new Etsy shop where I sell those, and I also use them with my daughter. We'll talk about how I do it. What I do is I'll print what I need. So here's an example. I actually have one here for you. So I actually created a full Old Testament Bible story coloring book that's available on my Etsy shop. It's a full 51 pages of a variety of different Bible stories. So this is the cover of that. And then the first story here is Adam and Eve. Okay, so here's Adam and Eve. Are these not like the cutest little graphics? Oh, I think they're so cute. I love their eyes. Anyway, so I would print off the lesson. Now, of course, within this packet, I have a variety of things. So if I don't want to use the cover page, maybe I want to talk about animals, or maybe we're talking about the snake in the garden. For the sake of this example, I'm going to use this page just because it is simply Adam and Eve. Okay, so let's say this is the page that I'm using with my daughter. I would print what I need for the day. So we're going to pretend this is Monday, and I know I'm talking about Adam and Eve with my daughter, and I've just printed the coloring page that I want to use for the day. So there are multiple ways that you can do this, right? Because I know everybody's schedule is different. You have choices, mama. Okay, let me tell you the choices. You can, and be creative with this, you can give your child the coloring sheet, sit them at the table while you're cooking breakfast, and let them color this page while you talk about Adam and Eve. Hey, sweetheart, have you heard of Adam and Eve? Yeah, Adam and Eve were in a garden, right? Like, break it down to their level of understanding. So they're just hearing it and they're seeing the picture, right? Another option that you have if you're busy and on the go is in the car. You can stick your little coloring page on a clipboard and let them color in the back seat, and you can talk about the story. Or you can hook your Bluetooth up to your vehicle, or however that works for you in your life, and you can play something on YouTube or whatever that's talking about Adam and Eve, or telling the story of Adam and Eve, right? Or you can do this as a nighttime routine. So as a nighttime routine, the way that you could do this is to, same thing, allow them to color. I would play some lullaby music, some nighttime music, the background, set the mood so they can wind down and get ready to go to sleep. And as they're coloring, you can talk about Adam and Eve, or you can read a supplemental story about Adam and Eve as they're coloring. So for example, here's a Bible story book that my daughter has. And what do you know? There's Adam and Eve. But if we're keeping it simple, honey, they just color in this sheet. You're going to talk about the story, kiss them goodnight, and that's the end of that. Review the same story throughout the week, right? And we're doing this in chunks. We are doing this very, very simply. It is not a whole drawn out lesson. You're not sitting down at a desk unless you want to, but you're making it very simple, and you're going to do different little activities that pop into your brain to reinforce what you guys talked about, to reinforce what they just colored on the coloring sheet. You can talk about it. You can read it in a book. So here's the book. Okay, we've got this book. Let's look at the Bible story. Do you remember we talked about Adam and Eve? Can you say Adam and Eve and you have them repeat? Good job. All right, let's look at Adam and Eve. Wow, look at those colors. There's Adam and Eve. Do you know where Adam is? Can you point to Adam? Good job. What about Eve? Where is she? Right? And you have your child interact with you. That's how you keep them engaged. Have them point to the people in the story. And then you can go a little deeper depending on the age of your child. For my child, it would be, wow, Adam and Eve are in a garden. Can you say garden? Do you see the garden? Wow, it's so pretty. Isn't it pretty? Yes. Ooh, I see a horse. Can you point to the horse? Very good. I see a sun. Can you point to the sun? Right? And you're going through this and just kind of increasing their vocabulary, pointing out things that you notice in the story, having them identify the characters. You're making this very simple, especially if your children are very young. We're not going into a full in-depth story because it's going to go over their head. Okay. So you want to make it really relatable to them. And then of course, if you want to read whatever, if you want to read the little passage here in the book, whatever book you have, or if you want to read the passage that was on the coloring sheet that I showed you, you have that option as well. But we're making it very simple. Other activities that you can do, find some YouTube videos, child. That is so golden. Find YouTube videos on the content that you're teaching. In this case, that's Adam and Eve, right? You can also go through Bible lesson on the Bible app for kids is awesome. And you can work through that with them. Or if your child is older, you can let them work through the story on their own within the app. And what is that doing? It's reinforcing. It's that repetition, which is how they learn. So it's like, okay, I did the coloring sheet. We looked at it in the book. We talked about it in the car. I'm seeing it on TV or on the device on YouTube. I'm seeing it again on this app, on this game, on the phone, right? So if you're busy, you might want to keep it very simple, very brief, very short and sweet. If you are a stay-at-home mom and you have more time, then you may want to go more deep into it and be a little more creative. You have that flexibility, you have that option, you have that leeway. And the great thing is when you're starting young, like in my example with my 2-year-old, she's 2. We're going to go over this stuff again and again and again. So it's okay if it's not perfect. It's okay if if you don't fully cover something. It's okay if you don't have all of these resources. We're just planting the seeds and laying a foundation. That's the point. That's the goal. Now, there is various curriculum that is available to you online as well. And this is another thing that I use in addition to those coloring sheets and these other resources that I'm talking to you about. I actually do like using a curriculum just because I have the time and I like to go a little more in depth. The curriculum is really good because you can cover the Bible story, but you can also cover things like colors and shapes and numbers and letters. So you're including that academic in a curriculum. And I actually have a list of curriculum that I've looked at and I like, that I recommend. And it's available on my blog at toddlermomdiaries.com. And I will leave a link in the description box for you if you are interested in checking that out. One of the curriculum that I will highlight in this video is called God's Little Explorers. And that's the one that I'm currently using with my daughter. I love it. I think it's great. She's thriving with it. She's doing it she's doing really well with it. And I've also taught it to 4-year-olds and they did a great job with it as well. So I highly recommend it. And so I have a link for that. If you are interested, that will be down in the description box for you as well. Now, I do want to tell you about something that I created just for you, a free gift. It is actually my toddler parenting resource guide. I printed it so that you can actually have a visual, but this is going to be down in the description box. It's actually going to be a full guide. I only printed the first page here. It's a full guide of resources for Christian moms. In this guide, you're going to get things that I recommend for teaching your toddler, so learning in academics as well as traveling, different things that are going to help you nurture, educate, and train your toddler up in the way that they should go. So if that sounds good to you, make sure that you head down to the description box and get yours. It is completely free. We mamas, and I understand. The biggest takeaway here is to understand why we are using Bible lessons for toddlers. And that is simply because we want to lay a foundation early for our toddlers. When they are young, it is a perfect time to start planting those seeds and training them up in the way that they should go. And that is what the scripture tells us to do, to train our children up in the way that they should go. And when they are older, they will not depart from it. I have seen where parents are not doing this, and I see the results of that. And then they deal with behavior issues, and then they're stressed out, and then they're struggling, and they're having issues in their homes, and the children grow up being just, it's just a disaster when we don't do things God's way. And so the whole purpose here, if nothing else, is not for you to be stressed out. It's not for you to be overwhelmed. It's not for you to figure something else out. No, it is to simplify this, but to make sure that you're planting those seeds and you're training your child up in the way that they should go. And I go more into depth regarding this topic on my blog. So like I said, if you're interested in that, go ahead and make sure that you check out the link down below. There's so many benefits that come with reading Bible stories and doing Bible lessons with your children. So I hope that you found this video very helpful. These are just things that I'm doing with my daughter, and I am seeing the fruit of it. I am seeing how she is growing, how she is thriving, how she is loving the Lord, how she is thriving academically and able to recognize letters and numbers and shapes and colors, letter sounds at 2 years old. And I understand that there are some children now at 5 and 6 years old who still are struggling with those things. And so I'm just sharing with you what I believe is working here in my house, and I hope that you find it a blessing in yours as well. If you found this video helpful, please make sure that you subscribe, give it a thumbs up, let YouTube know that we are loving this content and that needs to push it out to more people. Thank you so much, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.